Listen carefully, my child. This is not just a message. It is a divine unveiling. You did not stumble here by chance. I called you. I drew you in. Because there is something I've been holding, not from you but for you. And now, the time has come to reveal it. You have cried in secret asking me why the delay? Why the silence? You've looked at closed doors and unanswered prayers and wondered if I had forgotten. But today I answer, not with a whisper, but with revelation. What you thought was denied was only delayed because I was keeping it for now. What you're about to hear carries the weight of my timing, the fire of my love, and the blueprint of your next step. This is holy ground, and if you listen with your spirit, it will shift the atmosphere of your life. So don't scroll. Don't pause. Don't treat my word like background noise. What I kept for now is not something you can afford to miss. Stay until the end, and I will speak into places no one else can reach. Ignore this, and you may walk away from the very moment I've ordained for your release. I am the Lord your God. I do not waste words. Every second of this message is timed with eternity. Now breathe, open your heart, and hear me speak. I've kept this for now. For you, my child. Listen closely. I have never been late. Not once. I do not delay as man delays. I align. I orchestrate. I govern the movements of time itself. I am not bound by your clocks or your calendars. I dwell in eternity, yet I step into your moments with precision. What you've called waiting, I have called preparing. What you thought was a pause, I intended as preservation. Do not mistake my silence for forgetfulness or my timing for neglect. I have kept something sacred for you, not to punish you but to protect you from receiving too soon what you were not yet prepared to carry. You cried when, Lord, and I heard every tear behind the words. I saw the way you looked toward others receiving what you longed for. I know how deeply your heart ached when the door stayed shut. But child, the door was not locked. It was sealed by my hand, awaiting my appointed hour. I know the weight of your dreams. I know the cost of your faithfulness. I know how much it hurts to hope without evidence, to believe without reward. But I ask you now, will you trust my timing even when it doesn't match your own? Pause now and breathe in my presence. Let the weight of striving fall from your shoulders. I did not ask you to manufacture miracles or to pry open doors I've chosen to keep shut for a season. I ask you to trust, to wait with hope, to walk with me even when the path seems still. You see a delay. I see divine alignment. I see the moving of hearts, the shifting of circumstances, the growing of your roots. You are not stagnant. You are not forgotten. You are being established. And what I kept for you was never discarded. It was reserved, wrapped in my wisdom, guarded by my goodness. You think you've missed it, but I say to you, nothing I ordained for you will pass you by. What is from me cannot be stolen, lost, or delayed without purpose. My plans are not fragile. They are fortified. So lift your eyes. Wipe your tears. I want you to see beyond the delay into the deeper work I am doing within you. I have been pruning your pride, refining your motives, strengthening your trust. I have been enlarging your capacity to receive without breaking, to carry without boasting. I have not denied you. I have defended you from what would have overwhelmed you prematurely. Wait well, my beloved. For those who wait upon me shall renew their strength. They shall rise, soaring above anxiety, above confusion, above every whisper that says, God has forgotten you. I have not. I never will. I am the God who remembers, the God who watches, the God who preserves and provides. Trust me now. Trust the slow unfolding of my will. You want the gift, but I want to give you more than that. I want to give you the maturity to hold the gift without it holding you. I want to give you the clarity to steward the blessing without turning it into an idol. I want to give you my heart, not just my hand. What I kept for now, I kept because I love you too much to give it too soon. I withhold no good thing from those who walk uprightly. But I release all things when the time is right, and the time, my child, will not be determined by fear, or pressure, or demand. It will come as surely as the dawn, as beautifully as the blossom after the long winter. You are not late. You are not behind. You are right where I need you, in my hands, beneath my gaze, wrapped in my timing. Step into the stillness of this truth. Lay down your anxious timelines. I am not waiting for your perfection. I am working through your surrender. The blessing is not lost. The promise is not void. The hour is coming, and when it does, you will say, "This could only have been God." And I will smile, for I have been waiting to show you what I've kept for now. My child, there are things I have hidden from you not to deprive you, but to protect you. I have not withheld to be cruel. I have sheltered your soul beneath the shadow of my wings. You looked at what didn't come and asked, "Why not now?" But I say to you, not all that glitters is gold, and not every open door leads to life. I saw what was ahead, the weight you could not yet carry, the burden dressed as a blessing, the trap disguised as opportunity. I spared you. I shielded you from the hidden cost of early access, from premature promotion that would have crushed the very heart I was shaping. There were things you asked me for, pleaded for, even wept for in the secret place. And I listened. I held your prayers close, treasured in the chambers of eternity. But I did not move when you asked, not because I ignored you, but because I love you more than you understood. If I had answered too soon, you would have received the right thing in the wrong season. And my child, even a gift from heaven, if delivered out of time, can become a snare. Trust my no. Trust my not yet. Trust the quiet walls I built around you. You thought they were prisons, but they were protection. I saw the cracks in the opportunity. I heard the whispers behind the offer. I discerned what your eyes could not see. I saw how one yes too soon could have stolen years from your destiny. And so I intervened. I stepped in between you and what you thought you wanted. Not to crush you, but to cultivate you. To preserve the purity of your calling. You asked, but wasn't I ready? And I say to you, ready in desire does not always mean ready in strength. I was still rooting identity in your soul, still building discernment in your spirit. There were parts of you that needed to heal before I could trust you with the influence you were praying for. Just as a parent hides sharp objects from a child they love, I have hidden dangerous things from your sight, not to punish you, but because I treasure you. Do not despise my divine detours. Do not grieve what I have pruned. What you thought was rejection was redirection. What you saw as silence was shielding. I removed the counterfeit so your heart would be reserved for what is true. I disrupted your plans so that my perfect will could prevail. I closed the door because on the other side was a thief, not of things, but of peace, purpose, and presence. I am jealous for your wholeness. I am fierce about your becoming. So breathe. Stop striving. Stop looking back at what didn't happen. What I kept from you was never meant to harm. It was meant to hold you safe until the appointed time. I protected your spirit while I grew your character. And when the fullness of time comes, what I've preserved will come forth, not to break you, but to bless you. Not to expose you, but to establish you. What I hid, I held in loving hands. and what is in my hands is always secure. My beloved, I know the ache of longing. I have seen you pacing the floor in silent rooms, wondering if I had forgotten the promises I whispered to your heart. I have heard your sighs when doors stayed shut and dreams felt distant. But I did not forget. I did not abandon. I reserved the answer, not as a denial, but as an invitation to grow. You asked for the fruit, but I had to tend the roots. I had to deepen you before I could elevate you. You see, the weight of the promise you are called to carry requires depth. If I had delivered it when you first asked, it would have crushed you, not crowned you. I am not interested in giving you blessings that will bend your back. I desire to build within you a strength that can sustain the glory I intend to pour out. And strength, my child, is forged in the silent seasons, in the in-between, in the moments when nothing seems to be moving but beneath the surface everything is changing. Do not rush the work of your becoming. I am not only the God of sudden miracles, I am the gardener of slow, sacred growth. I prune before I provide. I cut back before I release. Because I love you too much to give you a promise that would outgrow your character. You had to become before you could receive. You had to grow before you could grasp the weight of the purpose I prepared. Let this silence not offend you. It hath been my classroom. In the quiet, I have taught you to hear my voice, not just my gifts. I have trained your eyes to look beyond results into relationship. I delayed, not because I forgot, but because I was forming my likeness within you. Every unnoticed day, every hidden effort, every faithful choice made in secret was building muscle in your soul. You thought growth only happened in public. But no, my child, true growth happens in hiddenness, where no one applauds, where no one sees but me. And I have seen. I have recorded every act of obedience, every sacrifice, every tear. You have not labored in vain. You have not waited in vain. Now rise. Embrace the transformation. What I kept until you could carry it with wisdom and humility. Until you could steward it without seeking validation. Until your heart was more anchored in me than in the promise itself. I never withhold good things from those who walk uprightly, but I do prepare them, shape them, refine them until they are ready. You are not behind. You are being built. You are not delayed. You are being developed. The blessing is coming, not to prove your worth, but to reveal your growth. And when it comes, you will not tremble under its weight. You will walk in it with holy confidence, knowing it came not from striving, but from surrender. My child, come close and let me speak now into the quiet places of your heart. You have often asked, "Where are you, Lord? Why do you not speak?" But listen, my silence was never absence. My silence was a sacred whisper, a divine invitation into deeper trust. I was not distant. I was drawing you near. I wanted you to seek me not for what I could do, but for who I am. I speak in many ways, but sometimes I speak through stillness. I lead you through silence, not because I enjoy your confusion, but because I long to see your faith grow wings. I was not hiding from you. I was hiding you in me. I wrapped you in quiet so your ears could unlearn the noise. I allowed the hush so your soul could hear my whisper. You asked for answers, but I wanted to give you awareness. You wanted solutions. I wanted intimacy. The mystery of my silence is this: in the stillness, I speak in ways words cannot reach. I press into the chambers of your soul. I rearrange your thoughts. I stir your spirit. And though you heard no sound, I was nearer than your breath. I saw the tears behind your closed eyes. I caught every trembling sigh. I know what it's like to be misunderstood, to be faithful, yet unheard. But I have never missed one prayer, one cry, one whispered plea. I have been writing a holy story beneath the silence. You looked for fireworks, but I was working in the soil. You waited for a trumpet, but I moved in whispers. And now I invite you, trust me in the hush. Trust me in the pauses. I am testing your faith, not to break it, but to purify it, to make it unshakable. Do not interpret my silence as disinterest. It is the opposite. I silence the noise to teach you to hear me. So lean in. Open your spirit. Listen with your heart. Feel my presence filling the spaces words cannot touch. The stillness has not been empty, it had been holy. And I promise you this, what I have kept, I will reveal when the time is right. Slowly, steadily, as your spirit aligns with mine, I will unfold what has been hidden. You will see. You will know. You will look back and say, even in silence, he was speaking. My beloved, I am not done. I am just beginning. I saw the longing buried beneath your silence. I felt the ache you dared not voice aloud. And I tell you now, what you yearned for has not been denied. It was never discarded. It was carved into the very chambers of my heart. Not one desire that was born in the soil of my will hath been ignored. You may have wondered if I had moved on, if your petition dissolved into the wind. But I assure you, my child, I heard you. I recorded every whispered hope, every late-night plea, every quiet pleas you never told a soul. You assumed my stillness meant rejection, but I was working within you first. I needed to form the right question inside you before I could release the right answer. I was shaping your understanding, transforming what you thought you needed into what I knew you were destined for. Delay, when born of my wisdom, is not denial, it is design. What I am preparing carries too much weight to be rushed. My no carries mercy. My wait carries intention. And my yes is wrapped in perfect timing. I know the pain of unfulfilled desire. I watched as you carried it, not with bitterness but with hope. Even when everything around you whispered to give up, you dared to believe that I could still come through. And that faith, it moved me. That hope, it honored me. That perseverance, it qualified you for the very thing you thought might never arrive. You have not been punished for wanting. You have been refined for receiving. I allowed seasons of withholding so you would discover something greater than answers, intimacy with me. I watched your spirit stretch through the waiting, not break. I witnessed the depth of your devotion when nothing shifted. And now, I say to you, I am not unjust. I will not forget the labor of your love. What you have longed for has not died. It hath been preserved in my presence. It lives, waiting to meet you at the intersection of readiness and fulfillment. I never waste a prayer. I never lose a promise. I never misplace a dream I authored. You thought you missed it, but I've been holding it, guarding it, watching over it until your hands were steady enough to hold it and your heart pure enough not to idolize it. So rise and ready yourself. The tide is shifting. The moment is drawing near. I am aligning the invisible pieces, bringing together what once seemed scattered. You will see it with your own eyes. The very thing you feared had passed you by will return, crowned with favor, marked with my seal. What you longed for was not forgotten, it was appointed. And I, the Lord of time, do not forget what I assign. My plans for you are not theories. They are truths waiting for release. Trust me still. What I kept back, I now prepare to place in your hands. And when it comes, you will see that my wait was worth more than any rushed answer. My child, don't stop here. What I've spoken so far is only the beginning. If you walk away now, you will miss the very part where my heart unveils your breakthrough. I have more to give. I have more to reveal. Would you really turn from the table while the feast is still being prepared? It would grieve me to see you walk away just as I'm opening the door to what I've kept for you. Okay, lean in. The next word may be the one that unlocks everything. The waiting was never a punishment. It was a sacred invitation to believe beyond what your eyes could verify. You asked me to increase your faith, and so I led you through delay, not to frustrate you, but to refine you. I know how much you wanted to move forward. I saw your willingness to leap. But true faith is not birthed in acceleration. It is forged in endurance. I allowed you to walk through the valley of patience so that your trust in me would not be shallow but unshakable. You learned to believe without a blueprint. You learned to listen when the world offered silence. You chose to hold on to me when nothing made sense. And my child, that pleases me more than you know. When you trusted me without visible signs, when you praised me without progress, when you held your peace while everything screamed to panic, that's when I saw your faith blossom. You became stronger, not by receiving the blessing, but by holding on to the promise. This was not wasted time. This was sacred training. Delay is the forge of spiritual muscle, and I have been shaping you for more than a moment. I have been shaping you for a mantle. You will carry things that others cannot, not because you are better, but because you were willing to be built in the silence. You let me tear down false expectations. You let me remove the idols of quick outcomes. You surrendered to the slowness that creates substance. You have not waited in vain. I have used every day of delay to anchor you deeper. I have deepened your discernment, sharpened your hearing, and cultivated your authority. Now you walk not just as one who believes, but one who had been proven faithful. And that distinction matters. The ones I entrust with great assignments are not just the ones who dream, but the ones who endure. You thought the reward was what you were waiting for, but the real treasure was what you became. You are no longer moved by every wind. You are no longer shaken by delay. You now walk with a steadiness that reflects my spirit. And soon, my child, you will see what I withheld. But this time, you will not just receive it, you will know how to walk in it with reverence and clarity. What I delayed for the sake of your destiny. You are now standing on stronger ground. Your spirit has been tempered. Your soul hath been tested. And I call that beautiful. I call that faith. And I call you ready for what's next. I have watched you wrestle with the weight of unseen promises. I've seen the longing in your eyes and the ache in your heart. But I did not release it. Not yet. Because what I give must not be heavy in your hands. It must be holy. I kept it from you until humility had its full work in you. I never intended for the blessing to break you or for the platform to puff you. So I waited, not because you weren't called, but because your heart wasn't yet aligned to carry it with grace. Pride is subtle, child. It disguises itself as confidence, as readiness, even as righteousness. But I see deeper. I see where motives hide and where intentions twist. If I had given it when you first asked, the gift would have become your identity. You would have used it to fill holes I long to heal. But now, after the stretching, after the pruning, after the long refining, you are no longer chasing validation. You are not begging to be seen. You are bowed. And that posture, my beloved, is the foundation of greatness in my kingdom. I resist the proud, but to the humble, I pour out unending grace. You've learned that the promise is not a pedestal, it is a responsibility. You've discovered that true honor comes not from applause, but from intimacy with me. That's why I waited. That's why I kept it. not to punish, but to protect the purity of your calling. Now you can hold it without being held by it. Now the gift will not shift your gaze, it will magnify it. Your hands are clean, your motives are clear, and your worship is deeper. What once would have inflated ego will now expand reverence. You no longer desire glory, you desire me. And that is the soil in which my greatest blessings take root. You have passed through the fire, not to be burned, but to be refined. And you are ready, not perfect, but postured. Life is about faithful, and I can work with that. I can build through that. I can release what I've held, knowing it will not steal your devotion or distract your purpose. So take heart. What I am placing in your hands now is not a reward. It is a responsibility soaked in divine trust. Walk carefully. Carry it boldly. And never forget who gave it. Let your humility be the fragrance that surrounds your favor. Let your worship rise higher than any recognition. For what I kept, I now release, not for status, but for stewardship. And I am with you every step you take. My child, I know how many times you felt like you almost had it. The opportunity that looked perfect. The relationship that seemed belied. The door that creaked open and then slammed shut before your hands could reach it. You thought I was teasing you. You wondered if I was testing your hope. But I was never tormenting you. I was protecting you. What you saw as rejection was really redirection. I allowed the counterfeit to come close, not to confuse you, but to refine your discernment. There were offers wrapped in beauty but laced with deception. Some looked like blessings but carried thorns. And if I had allowed you to take them, they would have pierced your peace, poisoned your purpose, and tangled you in things never meant to touch your destiny. So I intervened. I stood between you and what you thought you wanted. Not because I was cruel, but because I knew what was hidden beneath the surface. I do not let my children settle for shadows when I've reserved the light. Yes, I let the always come. Yes, I let the illusions rise. But it was to train your spirit to stop chasing the appearance of goodness and start waiting for the presence of my glory. Not all that glitters is gold. Not every good thing is a God thing. I did not send everything that knocked on your door. And that unease in your soul. That quiet nudge to walk away. That was me. That was my spirit guarding your gates. You asked me for clarity, I gave it through closed doors. You asked me for wisdom, I gave it through withheld answers. I let the wrong thing rise so the real thing wouldn't be compromised. Because what I am preparing for you cannot be entangled with false alignments. My promise is too pure. My timing is too precise. My calling over your life is too weighty to be watered down by premature decisions. So stop grieving the counterfeits. Stop replaying the almosts. What I removed on purpose. I will not bless a bond that would suffocate your anointing. I will not open a path that leads you into pride, distraction, or destruction. I want your hands free. I want your heart clear. I want your spirit sharp. I have the real thing. I kept it for now. And when it arrives, it won't manipulate you. It won't pressure you. It won't demand you compromise your convictions. It will confirm everything I've whispered in secret. It will carry peace like oil. And when you walk into it, you will finally understand. Every disappointment was divine mercy. Every delay was me, drawing a line around your life that said, this one belongs to me. There are some blessings that were never meant to be carried alone. And my child, I could not release what I planned until the people I've chosen were in place around you. You have wept over lost connections. You've mourned over friendships that faded. You've asked me, why did they walk away? And I say this to you now, some left because they could not walk where I'm leading you. Others stayed behind because they were never assigned to your next season. I remove not to punish but to position. There were voices in your life that would have drowned out mine. There were hands that looked supportive, but would have mishandled the treasure I was preparing to place in yours. I had to clear the room. I had to sift the circle. You thought you were being abandoned, but I was establishing divine alignment. I do not send destiny in isolation. I surround the promise with the right people, those who will not compete, but cover. Those who will not dilute your fire, but fuel it. Those who see not just your gift, but your heart. I kept what I've planned because the soil wasn't ready. The tribe wasn't assembled, and the timing wasn't ripe. I've been moving pieces you couldn't see, rearranging hearts, orchestrating alignments. I am not random, I am relational. You were never meant to steward the blessing in solitude. There are voices assigned to speak life into your purpose. There are shoulders meant to help you carry the weight of your calling. But for you to receive them, I had to release you from the ones who could not go further. Stop clinging to expired seasons. Stop questioning what I've severed. I am too intentional to remove without reason. The next thing I release will not come alone. It will arrive with the right company, with covenant relationships, with divinely assigned people who will walk with you, war with you, and whip with you when needed. You will not be isolated in this blessing. You will be planted in community, where your roots can go deeper and your fruit can flourish without fear. What I preserved was not just for your gain, it was for your shared assignment. There are lives tied to your obedience. There are destinies waiting to intersect with yours. And when it all comes together, you will understand why I waited, why I said not yet. I was not just preparing the gift, I was preparing the people. The promise I release will flourish because the ground is now ready. What I kept, I didn't just keep for your lifetime. I kept it for eternity. You asked me for answers. I gave you an assignment. You sought provision. I am giving you purpose that will outlive every dollar, every day, every dream you thought with the pinnacle. I did not guard this blessing so you could simply enjoy it. I guarded it because it carries eternal weight. What I'm about to release through you as kingdom consequences. You thought you were waiting for something small, but I've been shaping something that touches generations. What I hid was holy. What I withheld was wrapped in eternal timing. And now, as your heart grows hungry not just for answers but for impact, I draw back the veil. I reveal what I've reserved, not for applause, but for alignment with my will. You carry more than you know. You are not just a seeker, you are a steward of sacred things. And I do not place eternal assignments into unready hands. That's why I waited. That's why I stayed silent. That's why I let the spotlight pass over you, because I was forging something far greater than fame. I was forging legacy. This is bigger than a platform, bigger than success. This is about souls. This is about salvation. This is about being a vessel through which my glory moves. And the moment I release this into your hands, you will feel the weight, not as a burden, but as holy authority. You will walk differently. You will speak with clarity. You will move not as one who begs, but as one who has been entrusted. So prepare yourself. Let go of small thinking. Expand your spirit. What I kept for now, I kept until you could see beyond yourself. Until your prayers turned from bless me to use me. Until your desire for impact outweighed your desire for ease. Now I am ready. And so are you. The release is not just a moment. It is a movement. And through your yes, others will awaken. Through your obedience, the heavens will open over homes, families, and nations. The impact will not fade when the applause ends. It will echo into eternity. I've kept this for now, because now your heart beats with mine. And now, my child, if these words have stirred you, if you felt me near and your spirit rising into hope, then hear me again. This is where you step into partnership with my voice. You've asked me, how can I be used to change lives? This is how. I kept this moment for now. Every super thanks, every act of giving, every seed sown, even through the link in the video description, is not a tip, it is a trumpet. You are releasing my word into barren places, and I will bless it like rain on dry ground. I said, give, and it shall be given to you, and I do not lie. What you release in faith, I will multiply in peace, in purpose, in divine protection over your home. Do not wait. So now, move now. Let me see your faith come alive. This is not the moment to pause, to scroll away, or to forget. I am not finished speaking. If you leave now, you silence what I have saved for your healing. You've come this far, not by accident, but by divine design. My voice is calling you deeper, but I will not force your steps. I plead with you, don't walk away when the next breath carries the restoration you've prayed for. Stay with me. Let your reverence become obedience. There is a time for every purpose under heaven, and I, the author of time, do not operate in haste. I seal what is sacred until the season matches the weight of the blessing. You thought I was late. You believed you had missed the moment. But hear me, child, you were not behind. The time was simply not right. You asked for harvest in a winter of your soul, and I, in my wisdom, kept the seed until spring. I do not plant greatness in cold soil. I do not pour rain on ground that has not yet been broken. I do not speak destiny into atmospheres that cannot yet carry the weight of its bloom. What I've been preparing, and you needed a specific environment, a divinely orchestrated atmosphere, one where your character could protect the promise, and your maturity could preserve it. And so, I sealed it, not to hide it from you, but to protect what I was shaping in you. You've looked at others and wondered why their doors opened while yours remained shut. But I was not comparing you to them. I was cultivating something deeper in you, something that would endure storms and seasons. Your timing is not your timing, and their season is not your season. What I have written over your life does not expire, because my promises are not fragile. They are eternal. They do not wilt under pressure. They do not shift with public opinion. They move in alignment with my appointed time. I sealed the blessing not just for protection, but for purpose. Had I released it too soon, it would have collided with chaos. Had I unveiled it in the wrong moment, it would have fallen into soil that could not sustain it. I withhold not from indifference, but from insight. I see the full landscape. I see what lies ahead. I see what must still be uprooted before the fruit can flourish. Now, you stand in a threshold moment. The winds are changing. The spiritual atmosphere has aligned. What once felt like delay is now transforming into divine readiness. And though you do not always feel prepared, I assure you, I have prepared you. Through every quiet season, through every hidden test, through every night where you clung to hope by a thread, I was cultivating strength. A fire that didn't consume you. It refined you. The silence that didn't break you. It built you. You're standing in the early light of fulfillment. The door is creaking open. The seal is breaking, not because of effort, but because the time has come. What I once held back is now rising like dawn over your life. But do not rush it. Do not try to force what I have sovereignly orchestrated. The blessing will not be late. It will arrive with the fragrance of divine timing and the confirmation of peace. Stay alert. Remain faithful. Walk humbly. What I kept for now is awakening. What I sealed is being released. And when it comes, it will bear the unmistakable signature of heaven. This came from the Lord. There are things I could not give until your hands released what was never meant to be held forever. I asked you to surrender, not because I wished to take something from you, but because I longed to place something greater in your grip. You were holding too tightly to what I was trying to move. And until you let it go, there was no room for what I reserved. I do not pour new wine into old skins. I do not crown hands still clinging to idols. I waited, patiently and with deep love, until your will bowed to mine. You had to be emptied of control, stripped of false safety, and loosed from attachments that looked like comfort but bred limitation. I saw what you could not see, that what you gripped was good for a season, but deadly for the next. And so, I invited you into release, not to leave you barren, but to position you for overflow. You asked me why the blessing was delayed, but the truth is, the delay wasn't mine. It was the consequence of full hands. You cannot receive the miraculous while still hoarding the familiar. And though it cost you, though the letting go felt like grief, I was closer than ever. I caught every tear. I stood behind you when you felt alone. I whispered through the loss, "Trust me, I have more." You thought surrender meant loss, but it was the key to my abundance. I do not take without intention. I do not require death to joy, but death to dependency on anything that replaces me. When you let go of the old dreams, I began breathing life into the new ones. When you unclenched your fists, I readied my hand to place destiny into your palm. Your surrender moved me. Not your striving, not your religious effort, but the quiet yes in the dark. That unseen moment where you said, "Even if I don't understand, I still choose you." That's when the shift began. That's when heaven responded. That's when angels were released to guard what you could not yet see. Now, the time of release has come. Because you let go, I can now place what I have reserved. What I give you next will not compete with your loyalties. It will anchor your worship. It will not pull you away from me. It will drive you deeper into me. And you will not carry it with fear, because it will arrive in peace. My gifts come with no sorrow, no guilt, no torment. Only the sweetness of obedience fulfilled. So lift your eyes. Lift your hands. I am pouring now. I am placing into your life what I've kept hidden behind the veil of surrender. Let gratitude rise in you, not just for what's arriving, but for what I remove to make space for it. What you laid down, I have seen. What you offered, I have blessed. And what you thought you lost, I am returning in multiplied glory. You have been tested, not to prove your worth, but to reveal your depth. My child, I never test to destroy. I test to refine. I test to uncover the gold beneath your surface, the treasure hidden beneath your pain. You asked me for promotion. I gave you process. You asked me for increase. I gave you silence. Not as punishment, but as preparation. Because before I release what I've kept, I must ensure your foundation is unshakable. Faith that is untested is fragile. Conviction that avoids fire is shallow. I walked with you through the trial, not watching from afar but standing beside you in every unknown. When you felt abandoned, I was closer than ever. When you wanted to quit, I strengthened your spine. When the enemy whispered that I had forgotten you, I stood behind him, holding back what would have crushed you. You kept trusting when the evidence disappeared, You kept obeying when rewards felt absent. You passed through seasons where obedience looked like foolishness, and still, you held on. That is what I was looking for. Not performance, not perfection, but durity, endurance, surrender in the unseen. You passed the test not by having the right answers, but by staying in my presence, even when you had none. I test before I promote. I examine before I elevate. Not to disqualify, but to protect the weight of what I give. Had I placed the blessing too early, the weight would have cracked your soul. But now, the test is complete. Your heart has been proven. Your integrity hath been sealed in the fire. And I say this to you now. You are ready. I did not forget the promise. I simply waited for the evidence that you were prepared to carry it with honor. And now, that evidence has risen before me like incense. Your perseverance has made way for release. Your faithfulness in secret is about to be rewarded in the open. You trusted me without visible fruit, and I will not leave that trust unanswered. So lift your head. This is not the end of a test. It is the beginning of a testimony. What I've kept for now is coming forth, not as a mystery but as a manifestation. The very thing you believed for when everything said to quit. I am placing it in your life, full and overflowing. Not because you earned it, but because you endured. And when it comes, you will know. The testing was never about the gift. It was always about your heart. And now both the heart and the gift are ready. My child, I am not after your routine. I am after your heart. You asked me why I delayed. You questioned why the answer remained veiled. But I tell you now, with eternal tenderness, I withheld what you asked for to draw you closer to me. I hid the gifts so you would pursue the giver. I longed for intimacy, not transaction. I yearn for connection, not just obedience. You have learned to seek my hand, but in the silence, I have taught you to seek my face. In the waiting, I became your portion. In the quiet, I became your anchor. And in the longing, you discovered a truth most never grasped, that I alone am enough. Before the blessing came, I became your blessing. Before the answer arrived, I became your answer. Yes, you asked for miracles. I gave you myself. You searched for breakthrough. I gave you presence. And it was not because I forgot you, but because I loved you too much to let the gift replace the intimacy. I will not allow what I give to eclipse the one who gives it. I do not bless distance. I respond to closeness. And you, my precious one, have drawn near in the darkness. You've chosen me when there were no signs, no confirmations, no flashes of glory, only a still, small whisper in your soul. That whisper was me. I allowed the ache so you would come into my arms. I allowed the delay so your heart would beat in rhythm with mine. This wilderness wasn't punishment, it was a sanctuary. It stripped away distractions, exposed the idols, and revealed the ache that only I could fill. And when all else fell silent, I was the song that remained. You grew in the waiting, not just in wisdom, but in love. You learned to rest your head on my chest, not just knock at my gates. You began to linger, not just ask. You came not to get, but to dwell. That is what I longed for. That is what I desired above all. You became mine in a deeper way, and I became yours in a way no blessing could substitute. Now, because I have your heart, I can place the promise in your hands. And now, because you desire me more than the miracle, I can trust you with both. What I kept was sacred. It could only be released in the context of intimacy. It was never just about the timing of events. It was about the closeness of your heart. So come near still. Dwell with me even in abundance. Don't let the blessing draw you away from the altar. I am your home. I am your source. And from this sacred closeness, everything you need will flow like rivers from the throne. I do not share my glory with another. And what I have kept for now, I have kept so that when it arrives, there will be no confusion about who made it happen. I did not delay to tease you. I delayed to magnify myself through you. I wanted your testimony to be unmistakably mine. You have walked through seasons where no man could help you. You cried out and none answered. You were pressed beyond what your strength could bear, and it was in that place I planted my purpose. You were emptied, not abandoned. I stripped away every illusion of self-dependence, so that when I moved, the only name exalted would be mine. I withheld the answer so that when it came, it would shut the mouths of the mockers. I hid the breakthrough so that when it emerged, it would silence every lie of the enemy. I prolonged the unveiling so that when it arrives, no one, not even you, will dare take credit for it. This is how I work. I wait until the odds are impossible, so the victory becomes undeniable. I let death knock, so resurrection stuns. When I bless with fire. When I show up, I part seas, shake mountains, and rewrite stories. And what I am releasing in your life carries that weight. It is not light. It is not casual. It is not ordinary. It is marked with my fingerprints, branded with my glory. It will not make people praise your name. It will cause them to fall on their knees and say, "Only God could have done this." You've wondered why I didn't answer when it was easier, why I didn't move when the path was smoother. But I waited until the moment your hands couldn't force it and your heart couldn't fake it, because I needed you still enough to receive it, and others broken enough to witness it. What I give now will not look like effort. It will look like wonder. This is how I exalt my name in your story. I take what the enemy meant for shame and crown it with glory. I use the lowest places as launch pads for miracles. I transform ashes into testimonies that make demons tremble and saints rise. Now, my child, prepare your spirit. What I bring will not just bless you, it will awaken those around you. It will open eyes. It will soften hearts. It will proclaim, "The Lord, He is God." And all who see it will know, this was not man's doing. It was mine. I kept it for now so that no glory would be misplaced. I am the author. I am the finisher. And this next chapter will scream my name from the mountaintops. Beloved, if only you could see what's waiting in the next moment. I have preserved these final words with great care. They carry the fire of my glory and the weight of my promise. To turn away now would be to close your ears to the very whisper that could shift your season. I am revealing mysteries. Do not treat my words as common. Do not close your heart now. Honor me by finishing what I started in you. You thought it slipped through your fingers. You wept over what you assumed was gone forever. You whispered, "Did I miss it?" and buried dreams under the soil of regret. But hear me clearly, child, what you thought was lost was only delayed. I do not misplace what I intend to fulfill. I do not forget what I promise. I am the God who restores, the God who remembers, the God who redeems what feels ruin. I watched you mourn what I had not buried. I saw the tears you shed over timelines that didn't match your plans. I felt the ache of your unanswered prayers, not as noise but as incense rising to my throne. And I say this now with fierce, unshakable love, I have not forgotten. What you laid to rest, I was still cultivating. What you gave up on, I was still preparing. The delay was not denial. The pause was not rejection. It was preservation. You could not see what I was shielding you from. You did not know what battles I was winning behind the veil. While you grieved, I was guarding. While you surrendered, I was strategizing. And now, the season of restoration has come. I am the Lord who restores lost years, lost moments, lost opportunities. I redeem time itself. I fold what seemed broken into beauty. I gather what was scattered and multiply it by grace. What you are about to receive will not just match what you lost. It will exceed it. It will come back dressed in wisdom, wrapped in peace, and dripping with divine timing. You thought the door closed for good, but I was the one who shut it, only to reopen it at a higher level. You thought the love, the calling, the vision was gone forever, but I was holding it, preserving it like wine, maturing it until it could bless you without breaking you. Now lift your eyes. Dry your tears. I am returning what you believed was lost. And I'm not just returning it. I'm revealing why I kept it hidden. This moment, this season, this unveiling, it was never about what you lost. It was about who you became while waiting. And now that you've grown, now that your roots run deep, I can trust you with the full measure of what once felt unreachable. You haven't missed it. You're not too late. You're exactly where I need you. What I kept for now is being released, not as compensation, but as culmination. The story is not over. In fact, the most glorious chapter is just beginning. You asked me why I waited. You wondered if I changed my mind. But I never delayed to frustrate you. I delayed to grow you. I preserved what I promised so you could become the one who could carry it. The calling never changed. The purpose never shrank. But your maturity had to expand before I could entrust you with what I sealed in heaven. I saw the weight of what I intended for you, and I would not place it in hands still shaking with insecurity, still grasping for affirmation, still reaching for validation from broken wells. You prayed for elevation, but elevation without preparation would have become devastation. I saw what the blessing required, not just what you desired. I measured your capacity, not your excitement. And while you mourned the delay, I was building the foundation. You thought I was withholding, but I was forging. I was deepening your roots. I was refining your identity, not through applause, but through pressure. Every hidden season was holy training. Every trial was an altar where your character was tested and your pride dismantled. I do not rush those I love. I do not release destiny when ego still sits on the throne. So I waited, not because I doubted you, but because I believed in what you could become when fully formed by my hand. Maturity is not measured by age, but by surrender. And you, my child, have surrendered in silence when no one saw. You have obeyed when it cost you. You have remained when walking away would have felt easier. Now you are ready. Not perfect, but posture. Not flawless, but faithful. You do not just want the gift. You want to steward it. You no longer crave platforms. You crave my presence. And that shift is what unlocked the next season. I withheld until you stopped asking, when will I be seen? And started declaring, let you alone be glorified. The maturity I've built in you has nothing to prove and everything to carry. Now you see through eternal lenses. Now your hands are steady, not striving. Your heart is soft, but your spine is steel. You have learned to endure without explanation, and that endurance is the evidence of growth. I preserved it until now, because now you don't just want to succeed, you want to serve. Now you don't just chase destiny, you carry identity. And because you've grown into the measure of what I promised, I will not delay any longer. I place it in your hands, not as a reward for waiting, but as a mantle for leading. You are not who you were when I first spoke this over you. You have matured. You have been tested, You have been transformed. And now the door opens, not because of time, but because of who you've become in me. Walk through it with reverence. What I give is not just for your fulfillment. It is for kingdom advancement. Handle it with wisdom. Steward it with worship. You are ready now, my child, for what I kept. You pleaded for the blessing. You fasted for the door to open. But what I desired was not just your request. I desired your reason. I listened not only to your words but to the posture beneath them. I watched as you asked for breakthrough, and I tested the intention behind your prayer. Not to shame you, but to purify you. For what I give carries too much weight to be driven by shallow motives or selfish ambition. I do not pour glory into vessels still thirsting for applause.